Hello and welcome to today's video. So this time we're going to be doing the second part of the vintage Penguin specials, and these were from the barn find from a few months back, and once again we've got another really interesting load of books to go through. So without further ado, sit back, relax, and let's get to it. Okay, so starting off with special 164. Now it's been a couple of weeks since I did the first part of these, maybe, but just over a week or so. And since then, I've been pretty busy. I've had, that's absolutely fine. I've had a book fair. Oh, look at this, look. It's the revised edition. Never seen that before. And I tell you what, these specials keep producing interesting finds. So this is like the reprint. Look at that, 59 with a different coloured cover. A blue for a Pelican, even though it does say a Penguin special. That's interesting. A nice little variation there. So I've had a busy old couple of weeks, in actual fact, since I've done the first part of these. And it's all good, though. I've done lots and lots of sorting here in the studio to try and get the next sort of batch of books organised. So once I've done these specials, I'm then going to crack on again with the main Penguin series. Because even if they're not going to be the next ones out, released on the channel, I need to get sort of ahead of the game, as it were, and get the next ones cleaned up. So I'm going to try and we've already done one video, and I've estimated that it's going to need 3 videos to do all the specials. So I've got the next couple of piles in front of me. And I have been through the Pelicans that I had, and I've pulled out some Pelican specials, which are part of this run as well. And also I think I've got all the ones which are Penguin handbooks that were first released as specials as well, I think. So I'm pretty sure we're on top of it. And typically, as I get 2 minutes into the video, the phone says it needs to do a little update. And obviously I make these videos on my smartphone. Oh dear. I guess I better do that later on so I don't get an aggressive reminder. What's wrong with hospitals? So what I was about to say was some of these later ones, which are like sort of towards the end of the 1950s into the 1960s, these have all got more glossy or coated covers. So those ones there I'm going to put to a separate pile, because those ones I can actually polish, which does make a huge difference. So I'm going to be doing that on these. And some of them are, sort of borderline, I suppose, but we'll see how we get on. Obviously, my own collection of these, I do really enjoy collecting the specials, and I've pretty much got them all. I think I'm missing 2 specials, and both of them, I think, got published in America only. One of them is about Vietnam. It's called Why the Draft, I think it is. Just ones that I need to sort of buckle down and really hunt for. I can't remember what the other one is now, but it's I think I saw it in here, so that's all right. So maybe I just need the one special now. Obviously, ISBN ones, that's a different story, and I'm not really collecting those fanatically, but I'll keep nice ones for my collection, like this one, for example. There's gold in them, there are pills. This is special 314, but you see it's ISBN. So these are far less important for me, but this one I think will clean up quite nicely, and I'll probably I will keep this one. You can probably hear 1975 raindrops on the studio roof. It's been very, very heavy rain today, and it's got some writing in. Because of that, it's got some passages highlighted, unfortunately, in this one. Which means it's going to have to be a reject, I'm afraid. When someone's gone through and underlined passages in that, it is quite a major defect, that. And it's not a particularly rare one, that, Madison Avenue. It's a book on advertising. There is an American edition of that, which I've seen, which has got a Sense cover. So it was published in the, or they did a version for sale in America. But I'm at a stage now where I really don't want to be keeping books that are spare unless they're in, you know, nice condition, nice collector's condition is what I'm aiming for, you know. I do have friends and other collectors who don't mind books in lower grade, but that's obviously not me. This is quite a nice one, this Concord. Got a little corner cut out, which is a shame, but it's still a pretty nice copy, this, I think. So once we get towards the end, I'll give these all a brush. As I said, these particular ones, these later ones, can have a polish as well. There we are. Quite a bit of penciling. An interesting cover on that one. Now this one is, this is just before it flipped over to having glossy covers. So this has actually got a matte cover, this particular one. A really nice example of that one. I think that might be an upgrade for me. Going back a bit earlier now, this is Wartime, special number 65. Oh, it's got a little letter there that we'll have a look at in a minute. $1940, that was a Penguin original, that one. And what does this bit of writing say? Blimey. Oh, I think it's extracts from the book. Something about a Christian text. So we'll put that to one side. That can stay there. Hitler's War, before and after. Now this one is in a dust wrapper. Which hasn't done too bad a job of looking after the book underneath. Look at that. Yeah, this one's a little bit of wear, but not much. Let's see, is it still a first print? Yeah, first printed March 1940. This is pretty nice. I mean, the thing is with these specials, you'd think a book like this would be quite expensive, but it's really not. They had a huge print run. A lot of these were being print runs at this time of like, well, as many as a 250,000 at a time, some of them. And they were almost being published like magazines on a monthly basis. But obviously, paper rationing bit, and things got harder and harder as the war went on. And the books themselves, you know, get quite thin and not as nice. Now, I'm wondering if we can... there's a couple of... just want just a tiny couple of dots along there. See, this is multi-layered, so we want a little bit under there. There. I need a flathead screwdriver here. I'm going to try and just do this as we go along. So that was 3-ply, this bit. Just where that had come away. Even though there was a dust wrapper around it. Right. So that needs to sort of set overnight. There was a tiny nick up here, but that's okay. And there was that little bit there on the corner. Look at that. There we are. That's made that a really presentable copy, that one, to be honest. Now, the dust wrapper is a little bit frayed, so I'm going to brush this one now just on its own, because I don't want to put the dust wrapper back on this and then brush it, because it might make it worse. But we'll keep that with its wrapper. Obviously it's not perfect, but you know, I mean, we haven't seen like loads of these in dust wrappers, have we? So he's all right. So I'll put a third pile. So we got regular books, then we got books that are glossy covers. Then I've got a third little pile just out of shot here, which are books in dust wrappers, which don't need a brush. Now this one here is in a wrapper, but the wrapper is very much fallen to bits. And when they're in this sort of state, I don't believe really they're worth keeping. I mean, it is all there, but you see it's in such a sorry old state, really, isn't it? You know, that it's just not really worth keeping with the book. However, the book itself, because it's had a wrapper around it, it's in pretty bright condition. I can see by the look of it, yeah, look, there's a bit there, a spine split all the way on the cover. There we are, 1939. So I think what we'll do, we can put a little bit of glue down here, but it's just the faintest, really, it's like a token gesture, just to try and repair that a little bit. It's still got quite nice appeal, that one, so it's definitely worth keeping. And a lot of these old ones, let's not forget, just do go into paperback bags nowadays. This is nice, H.G. Wells, On the Rights of Man. This was basically like a glorified essay. Look at the type size. It wasn't exactly a huge tome, but it was a good name to have, wasn't it, you know? Yeah, it's missing the... it's not missing, I just don't think it's there. But I'm sure it's the first. I'll compare that one against my own one. So that just needs a brush. Norman Angel, Why Freedom Matters. This one's a bit grubby, but once again, because of when these were published, it gets a bit of a pass. Now I see there's some pencil there. Yeah, this has had a few passages highlighted as well. However, it's in pencil, so I mean that's pretty low grade. It's only going to be like a couple of quid, but because the passages are in pencil, it survives the cut, basically. Drugs. This is one of those 60s ones. As I've said before, these are very susceptible to faded spines. And this one, a little bit of fading, but not too bad. They very much vary. This is a little sub-series for Penguin Specials, Britain in the 60s. This one's on The Family. And these will come up quite nicely once they've been polished. These ones here. A little name inside, which has been unfortunately rubbed out. just about squeezes through. Here's one of those nice early ones. Why War? New revised edition. So this may be another one that is a reprint, but a reprint of interest to me, you know, because it's a different or updated edition. Yeah, look at that. Reprinted September 39. So because of its nature, I probably will keep this because I've run out of specials to collect now, bar one or two. So little variations like this are very much of interest to me, you know, particularly since it's one of my favourite series, you know, apart from the main, of course. So that's all right. Middle East Crisis, 162. This is a late 50s, I think. A little bit of stain in there. 1957. Mentions the Suez Crisis, I noticed there. That was where my dad did his national service. He was in the Powers, and he went out, is it Tunisia, during the Suez Crisis. Here's another early one. In fact, this is special number 4, Searchlight on Spain. Another one with a couple of passages underlined. Remnants of one flap of the dust wrapper. Yeah, a couple of pages highlighted there. Yeah, I can't see any printing history on that, but I'm assuming that's a first. Once again, I'll have to compare it against my own one. But I'm not going to keep that little dust wrapper flap. It's a bit tatty. 20th century socialism. Little X there. It's interesting that a few of these have got little annotations. I wonder if they were from the same owner, and they all ended up in Bill's collection. Bill was the chap I got these from the barn find. This is number 55. Yeah, that's all right. The Atom and the Energy Revolution, 169. Corner cut, but apart from that, he's all right. And that one can be polished, so it's in that pile. The Labour case, this is number 177. So they did one for each, yeah, like the Conservative and the Liberal. So they did one for each of the three main political parties that were in the UK at this point in time. And it was a bit like, well, I don't think you get it nowadays much. They publish it online, but it would be a prospective government's manifesto. You know, this is what they would plan to do if they got into power, basically. Britain in the 60s, one on vagrancy there. And they really did choose excellent photographs for the front covers of these. Always reminds me of George Orwell's Down and Out in Paris and London, where he disguised himself as a vagrant without a job. And he did that in Paris and London. And if you've never read that George Orwell book, it's my favourite one of his. It's really good. Okay. Sanctions against South Africa, 212. And see, little marks like this and that, they're going to come off once we've got the Mr. Sheen polish on it. So I'm not too worried about these. Oh, that's interesting. What's that? Huh. So this is your pools, I think. Vernon's pools. Look at this. Look. Vernon's, yeah, so this is 4 divisions and someone actually filled it in. So this is when you did your pools, a bit like the National Lottery, but you would bet on the football matches. And fiddly as anything, as you can see, but someone filled that in, but they never actually completed their entry. Funny, I can remember my gran doing the pools. Sadly, she never won. 1964, this one. Look at that. Amazing, eh? It is crazy what you sometimes find in old Penguin books, or old books in general. 187, The Organization Man. That's got the Pelican logo in. So evidently, although it doesn't say Pelican on it, it's got the Penguin logo. That very clearly says that this was designed to be a Pelican, doesn't it? That's interesting. I've never noticed that before with that particular book. Here very much is a Pelican. Britain's Health, Special 27 in a dust wrapper, and the wrapper is actually pretty darn nice. It's not mint, but it's nice. Oh, look at the writing underneath. Look, health services. Well, that's unusual, isn't it? About the dust wrapper, which is so thin, has had that little bit of writing on. Still a nice wrapper, though. Yeah, like a little closed tear there. So someone's tried to look after this book, but they've just not done a very good job of it. We can't do anything with that. It's better off out, to be honest. Try and fold it back in. Looks like Anne Edwards is the 1939. Yeah, I'll pop that back. Oh, since it's going to be in its wrapper, I better brush it as well beforehand, so we don't damage the wrapper. I'm not going to take that writing out. I mean, it's there's too much. I'd probably ruin the wrapper if I did that. So it's probably better off leaving it as is. So some Penguin specials, which were on subjects like health, you can see it was a Pelican sort of a subject. That's why it got released in the blue colours, and we do have a little pile of those. So this was one that I think sold very well. Opera. This is special number 40. This has got some adverts and stuff in, so I don't know if this is a first. Yeah, it's a reprint. Look at that. Quite interesting. Quite interesting, but it's a nice reprint, and it might be a little variation, so I'm going to keep a hold of that one. Microbes by the Millions, Special 28, another Pelican one. It's a first. It's a little bit grubby. This one would have had a dust wrapper as well, but I suspect that was long since gone. So I think we can put a little smidgen of glue down the bottom there. I think just put a little. And I'm hoping we can just flip this turned over corner. That should hopefully do it now. Yeah, so we've just about got that back to looking okay. Once again, that just needs a bit of time now to sort of set. Here's another one, A Microbes by the Million. Same book, exactly the same book. There's my favourite. We have got a copy of that coming up. Don't know if it's going to be in this video, but you never know. This one or the next one. Hugo Leiderman, I think that's it. Now, what about that Oxfam sticker on the front? Is it going to be kind? Or is it going to be a little swine? Yeah, that ain't going nowhere, I'm afraid to say. I mean, we can make it look slightly better by making it an 8p instead of a 4. But that's not going, in fact, even that's not coming off. That is a shame. It's not the end of the world, but it's not great. You know, it's a bit of a shame, but there you go. Here's another copy of Ballet. Bottom of the Pelican has been pulled off. Special number 5. A little bit aged, this one. Apart from that, he's all right. Needs a good brush. Once again, that would have had a dust wrapper, but sadly that's gone missing. The Invasion of the Moon, the story of Apollo 11. This is a nice copy of that one. By the look of it, needs a good clean. This is one I know I need a better copy of, so I'm pleased to find this. Yep, there we are, 1969. So that can go in the to be polished. Peaceful Coexistence, 162. Yeah, that's all right. Another H.G. Wells, Common Sense of War and Peace, number 64, special 64. Yeah, that's not too bad. United Nations, Piety, Myth and Truth. Having a little run of quite nice condition ones, aren't we, at the moment? Not needing too much repair work. But that's all right. When you look at Britain's economic policy, quite grubby on the covers and that would have been like bright and white when it was first published. But this is very much aged over the last 60 years. Amazing to look at that and think it's 60 years old, you know, but it is. The Jewish Problem. This is an early one that would have been in a wrapper. It's number 10. Obviously, it wasn't a problem for us. It was very much a problem for Mr. Hitler and his cronies. First print. That's a particularly bright copy of that one. I know some of my early specials are actually pretty nice because I got them a long time ago in the 80s and early 90s when I first started collecting Penguin. So I know some of my early ones are really nice, but others I know very much do need an upgrade. Poland, special number 34. This is in a dust wrapper as well. Now the dust wrapper is a little bit the worse for wear, but it is basically all there, so I think it should be kept with the book, that one. Let's see underneath. it's done the trick. It's kept it bright. Let's see what he's like inside. 10p there. Yeah, 1939. Pretty nice, that. Pretty nice example of that Poland. There we are. Let's give this a brush. And then slide him back in for now. And I shall definitely compare that against my own one. I mean, the wrapper is a little bit... the book would look much better on the shelf without the wrapper. But it would be the sort of one I would keep the wrapper in my separate wrappers box. Good stuff. My finished diary. So Walter Citron, 56. This one's a little bit grubby. A little bit worn. But I bet in the day this was really interesting. Got a little sticker mark on there, but apart from that he's okay. Guilty Land, I don't recognise this one, 205. I said these aren't in order. I thought it'd be more interesting to do them out of order, to be honest, so I don't really know what's coming out. There they are, just a complete mixture. But that's all okay. I have filmed this year my collection of Penguin specials. I did like a shelf tour, but that is going to be very much updated after I put all these through. This is an ISBNer, and initially I wasn't too fussed about having ISBN specials, but looking at the titles, they are really interesting. So I'm pleased that I've got a few anyway. I'm not going to go out and out to try and get them all. I don't even have a definitive list, but certainly some of these I think are quite interesting titles. Here's a little run of Pelicans again. Pelican specials. This is number 6, Modern German Art. This one might well be a reprint. And now it's first, 1938. This is a first. It's in lovely condition. Only thing missing is the dust wrapper. Yeah, that looks a bit thin, but it does say it's the first. It only lists the first 6 on the back as well, so that is the first. But that's a real beautiful condition book. That's probably an upgrade. Literary Taste, number 11, special 11. I'd love to find one of those. It's a Penguin, multiplex, 2-shelf section. Holds 60 penguins. I've never found one of those. They're not Penguin branded, you see. They must be out there. Multiplex. I wonder if they've got a name on them somewhere so you could identify them. They did a few, Penguin did a few bookcases over the years. None of them were ever made by Penguin, but they were sort of marketed to fit penguins, you know. Although you could, of course, put any paperback in them. But yeah, those multiplex ones that we just saw, those fit together. Aha, here we are, look at this. This is one of my favourite early Pelicans, Blue Angels and Whales. It's a beautiful book. Illustrated by Robert Gibbons, there he is. And he did wood engravings, and it's just gorgeous. Just look at the title page. Look at this. Can't actually get the page open. It's playing hard to get. Look at that. Look at that, how it sort of plays around the Penguin logo. That is just gorgeous, isn't it? Very, very nice. A nice copy of this one. I do have one. I think mine's got a bit of a darkened spine. Probably very similar to the copy we've just seen there, but underneath it's very bright. Absolutely superb book, that. Superb. And yeah, Robert Gibbons, I'm a big fan of his work. I think the skill of the wood engraver is, well, it is a lost art. Almost a lost art. There's not many people who do it these days, let's put it that way. But that copy is immaculate, and it's I'd say that's unread, not price clipped, in its wrapper, which is pretty nice. So I'd say that's amongst one of the best books we've seen all day. That is a beauty. That. Very, very pleased with that one. Here's another copy of Literary Taste, number 11. Slightly better spine than the last one we saw. A concertina page there. And you have to wonder how sometimes these get into such a state. There we are. A few like little marks on the cover, but actually that, a lot of that came straight off, which is quite nice. Obviously, these need a brush yet. Health of the Future, 107. So the ones around 90 to 130 are the ones that came out during the peak of the Blitz, and these are the hardest ones of all to find in nice condition. And this one's actually above average. This is 1942, and although it may not look much, that's actually a pretty nice example of that one. That's better than usual, so that's all right. This is another one that's, I'd say, quite scarce, number 119, Soft Fruit Ground. This one ended up as a Penguin Handbook, but it was originally a Penguin special, and this is another scarce one. In my book, you know, in my opinion, this is a scarce one. 1942, look at that. Raymond Bush. Now, the first of this one, this is not the first. This is the second. Now, the first print of this doesn't even have a spine. It's stapled. It's just stapled together, and it was the last Penguin special I needed to have all the sort of the vintage ones. This is the second print, and I remember when I unpacked the Barn Find, and I came across this one, I thought, oh wow, I can't believe I found a second one. But it wasn't, it was the reprint. There we are, look. Came out in May 44, this is the reprint from September 44. Believe me, I should be keeping the reprint of this, because I didn't even know it had been reprinted, to be honest. I thought it was a one-off. So, once again, very, very pleased to get this one, indeed. I know someone else who sent me their wants list, and it's the last, I believe it's the last special they need as well. And I think the actual first of it is really scarce, really, really scarce. You know, so much as maybe a £50 book, if you could find one. It's one of the driest of dry subjects, you know. It's Plan for India, basically post-war. Very, very dry, but you see there's not a lot to it. 64 pages. I'm going to pop a little slither of glue down there. But as I said, the original first print of this doesn't even have a spine. It's stapled. It's got a single staple. And I always thought the thinnest Penguin book was one called the Penguin Handyman. But it's not. It's this one. That is the candidate. And it must be the thinnest Penguin, vintage Penguin. Obviously nowadays, Penguin themselves do publish sometimes very thin books. In fact, I've got a modern George Orwell, which is like stapled without a spine. Well, there we are. If you want to, I said that's quite a scarce one. That, so I'll pop that with my first print. Politics Made Plain, 154. This is towards the end of the first series, I think, unless it's the start of the second series. Yeah, no, in October 44, yeah. They didn't carry on much past this, I don't think, in the original run. And then they had to have a gap until war was over and they had a bit more of a paper allowance, you know. A faded spine on that one. Here's one which is a Penguin Handbook, but is it a Penguin special? Yes, special 137. But it's in the covers of a Penguin Handbook. Now, we haven't done the Penguin handbooks yet from the barn find, but there's a good 3 stacks of them, so I'm looking forward to going through them. There's some great titles in there. 1944, it's that very, very scarce period again. Unfortunately, some of the super scarce ones, like Signalling a Map Reading for the Home Guard, How the Jap Army Fights, I haven't seen them in this collection. I know there's a copy of the Biafra story by Frederick Forsyth, that's in here, and it's a really nice one without a faded spine. So I think that's going to be an upgrade to my own one. And the other one was the Government Blue Book, which also isn't in here. 195. This is a pretty sharp looking copy. (1961). Life in the 21st Century. Yeah, that's a pretty nice copy of that. Certainly another one that's going to be closely looked at with regards upgrading it. And we saw one of these last time, didn't we? In fact, we saw 2. One of them was absolutely fallen to bits, but I remember it because it had Wonder Woman on the front. 1974. Well, there we are. That seems all right. Here's an early one again. Pretty ropey on the face of it. Number 9. Special number 9. Certainly a little bit low grade, this. I mean, it's a first print, but it's very, very worn. I mean, I don't know. It's bordering on, is it salvageable? Yes, you could say grubby is the way I would describe this. It's grubby. It's all there, you know, it's a complete copy, bar the dust wrapper, of course. 1938, it's just not tip top, but just on the borderline. Good God, number 55. There we are. Once again, a little grubby, but not as bad as some that we've seen, so I'm letting it go. America the Vincible. Another one I don't remember that well, but a reasonably nice copy. 1959. Yeah, that's okay. The NCCL Guide, Civil Liberty, 2nd edition. This is a ISBN one. Quite a big, thick book, this. Yeah, 1972, reprinted with revisions 1973. Okay, well, we'll keep that one with the collection for now. Tenants in Danger. 183. Mm, 1964. That's okay, isn't it? The General Says No. 201. This has got some sort of, it's got a splash of water damage, but generally he's okay. It's got wet on the side there, so he's all right. It's going to need a good brush and clean in a minute. Brush and polish, rather. This one looks, it's a later one. It's ISBN, and he is actually, that is wear. That is actually quite worn on the front cover. Not one I've got. It's It's a second edition as well. I think I'm going to give that a miss. That one's a bit too far gone. Here's a vintage one, very, very thin. Christianity and Social Order. Extremely, extremely thin book. Wartime printing, as you can see. 1942. Special 104. Someone's written inside. So I'll take that 50p out. And certainly some of these, being so fragile, are going to have to be put into paperback bags to protect them. But yeah, I'm glad someone's already done me the favour of looking that one up. What the Church Teaches, S125. Another very, very thin little book. That's a reprint. 1943. So once again, I'll probably keep this reprint, because how many of these reprints have survived? And it's from such a scarce period in Penguin history. I think they're fascinating. I think they really are. As a collector, they're little variations that are definitely worth keeping. There we are. Look how thin it is. Nothing to it, is there? Not many to go here now. Young Citizen, A.E. Morgan, 120. Yeah, 1943. It's all there. It's not in, massively great shape, but it will do. Policy for the West. It's a later one. £15p. Okay. White Liberal, another one of those political party manifestos, in effect. £15p again, which we are vanishing. So it was an interesting title, Hanged by the Neck. It was the basically it was debating about capital punishment, in the UK, and people being hung for the worst crimes, A bit toned, this one, but I think someone will find that one all right. 1961. Why NATO? Look at that. That's a great little book. Special 180. Once again, only 60 odd pages, 64 pages. 1959. I'd say that's probably unread, that one. The New Inflation. This is an ISBN. Haven't got this one. It says Dove inside. Dove. Wherever that was. The Dove from Above. Couple more. And then we're going to get brushing and polishing. Blueprint for Survival. This is another one which is a reprint, but interesting, so I'm going to keep him. The last one we're going to do today before we get cleaning is Peace Possible 166, and I reckon we've got about this many again to do on our final Penguin Specials video for cleaning, which will be in about 2-3 weeks time, something like that. Although for me, I'm going to have to do it as my next cleaning video, but I shall stagger these, you know, so it goes out, so it's not the same thing every week. I like to mix it up a little bit, you know. This one needs a little bit of glue in the spine here. There we are. So those ones, everything needs a brush except the ones with the dust wrappers. These ones here are all going to be polished and brushed. Those ones are just going to be brushed. So that is the next stage. Right, let's get these books brushed first of all. So I've got them in 4 piles. These are the more recent ones, which have got the glossy covers. I don't like brushing in the studio. I prefer to do this outside, but it's going to be raining for the next few days, so I have no option. Microphone. But I don't mind. Some people quite like the sound of the raindrops. First pile. All those ones that we've just done are also all going to need a polish, but these next ones are older books, which obviously we can't polish these because the covers is basically like cardboard, and if we polished them they would go to mush, so we definitely won't be doing that. It's a mucky old job, this part of the book cleaning game, I can tell you that. But it is what it is. It has to be done. Right, one more stack of these older ones to do. These old ones, well, I guess because they're old, it's as simple as that, but they're the ones that kick off the biggest amount of dust. To be expected, I suppose. Right, there we are, and I just noticed on the back, it's got a 25p. That missed quality control, didn't it? Don't tend to check the back for pricing. Right at the start that was as well. Anyway, that's that lot done. Next step, and the final step, is to get these polished. Now, these ones were the dust wrappered ones, so we can't polish them, but we can polish these other ones. All right, the final bit. Got my trusty Mr. Sheen on standby, and I think we've got, I don't know, 30 or 40 books to clean. Some of these are worse than others. But we'll give them the treatment. This is the final stage. But once again, I think you can agree, we've had a pretty successful cleaning session. I don't think we've done bad at all today. I think I'm pleased with what we got done. I, for one, I'm pleased because I know that there's a few in here that are going to be ending up in my my main collection, which is always good news for me. Yeah, this one was pretty grubby, to be honest. Even with all the will in the world, sometimes you're not going to make these much better than what they were to begin with. Others, however, we can make an actual difference. We can really jive them up a bit. Those ones that I hope comes up really nice, and it has. Had like a dust shadow along the top edge, but this is when I know my own copy is a little bit the worse for wear, so really pleased to see this one in nice condition. Very cool. Yeah, I think that's going to be a nice addition to my Penguin Special Collection. Look at the muck we've got off, and we've only done like, what, 7 or 8 books, and we got all that muck off it. It's incredible, isn't it? It is quite incredible. So get a bit more of a clean spot. There we are. Very, very dirty, this one at the bottom. I have to keep reminding myself that these were stored in a barn after all, so, for 20 years. So we have to bear that in mind. Old Wonder Woman. They used a very early image of Wonder Woman. That's like the Golden Age Wonder Woman with the flowing dress there from the 1940s, not the sort of 70s Wonder Woman, which would have been around when this book was published, pre the TV series. But even then, she didn't wear that flowing dress. That's the Golden Age Wonder Woman. Yeah, that's a particularly nice one, that, I'm quite pleased with that. Of course, in a lot of cases, what we're polishing is old cigarette staining, nicotine, which does stain the spines and covers of books and that. But you know, that was what a lot more people smoked when these books were first published. A lot more people smoked, and consequently, you know, books from this era can get smoke damaged. Simple as that. So that's the first pile, so we're about halfway through the polishing now. So that's good, they're all looking a lot cleaner than they did, I'll tell you that. We've done a good job today. Right, let's crack straight on with this next one. Look at the muck we've got. So I'll work my way along a bit further again with a cleaner bit of cloth. So as I film this, I've been sort of planning the next few weeks ahead. That's what I like to do. I like to have like a month ahead across my main channel and also on my cleaning channel. So I like to know what videos are there, and then I can work out what needs to be filmed in what order. So I've got the books ready, but also there's practicality reasons. So for me, even though these Penguin special videos are going to be split by maybe 3 weeks apart, for me, I have to do all 3 of these cleaning videos back to back. So potentially the next video I film in here, next cleaning video, is going to be the last part of these Penguin specials, and then I can move on to something else. So in actual fact, I've got lined up, there's a series of small Taschen books called Taschen Icons, and I've been picking them up. They're pretty cheap to buy, and I reckon I've got a quarter of them now, and I've been picking them up here or there, sometimes as low as like £3 or £4 a book, which is great, including postage, that is. And often you can find the Taschen books, because they were cheap to begin with, they're plentiful. You can find them with these companies like World of Books and, you know, the big book warehouse people. And I've got a pile of about 20 odd that need cleaning up. Some of them are worse than others. The only thing is, I'm not sure that it's a complete cleaning video, but I might do that one, and I might tag on some Penrose annuals as well. So that may be a video coming up quite soon. That'll be one of the non-Penguin related ones. So look out for that. By the time this one's going out like next week, but the Tashin video will be coming out a week probably after that, so that's good news. But I'm pretty sure this one has to go out this week, I think. It's a little bit grubbier than I would like. Hanged in error. Bit of a dirty back on this one. So I hope you have enjoyed today's vid. I've enjoyed going through these. I genuinely have. I love Penguin specials. I think it's just a fascinating series. They really, really are. They were published on subjects that were topical at the time. The wartime issues are particularly fascinating to me, but even the later ones are as well. I just think they are really great books. And with a few exceptions, actually quite cheap to collect. So I hope you have enjoyed today's video, and if you have, please do give it a thumbs up. Now if you've not already, do please hit the subscribe button for regular cleaning videos. This channel's been going about 4 years now, and I've only ever not put up a video once in 4 years, so it's one video a week. And amazingly, we've been able to keep that going for 4 years, which is quite a feat in itself. But yeah, if you've not hit the subscribe button, please do. It does help. Send a little signal to YouTube that you've liked what you've seen, and potentially it'll offer you another one down the line. Although nowadays, there's no guarantee. YouTube is a fickle beast. Don't forget, over on my dedicated book channel, which is the main Jules Burke channel, that one, of course, has been going almost 7 years now. So that's where you'll find most of my book-related content. And over 1,000 videos over there. So do go and take a look at that one. And obviously subscribe as well. Anyway, thank you very much for watching today. Do give it a thumbs up. And I'll be seeing you again next week with, I think, a Tash and Icons video, which should be pretty cool. Not quite as much work as we've had today, but still a bit of brushing and polishing. So I'll see you then. Bye.